Hi, and welcome to the MTG Profits podcast, the podcast all about the financial world of Magic the Gathering. You lucky listener are here listening in on episode 5 of MTG Profits, where we'll talk about all the finance of and ongoing news of Magic the Gathering and talk about how this collectible card game can make you money. My name is Andy, and with me is my co-host, as always, Devin.
That's right.
And I think the big hotness, the big topic of the day is Guilds of Ravnica. We are revisiting this plane once more, which seems to happen all the time. We always seem to keep coming back to these different planes. We've been back to Mirrodin. Where else have we been? We've gone back to a couple of them.
I know Wizards keeps wanting to pull the cash register handle on the Ravnica. I think they're trying to relive some of the glory days from the return to Ravnica, which was arguably one of the best, I guess, customer growth moments of the game's history. So more people joined Magic the Gathering around the time of Return to Ravnica. They had a dramatic growth in the player base, and ever since then have had nothing but player base declines. So I'm sure they're hoping to rekindle some of that magic and again ring that cash register once more and really tap it hard.
And I think the original Ravnica was also interesting because it featured all the different guilds, and the guilds had the opposing colors and the friendly colors together, and different cards to represent that, and the split mana. It had a lot of new things, and a very strong multicolor.
I think it might have been one of the first sets that really did strongly feature multicolor cards, the original Ravnica. It was the first time, in my recollection, that we had names of color combinations. I don't ever remember prior to that having, now a lot of times when players refer to their card color combinations, they'll say, oh, I'm Orzhov, or oh, I play Izzet colors, or even more recently, with the Khans colors, people will be like, oh, I play Jeskai, or, but I remember the original Ravnica seems to be, in my recollection, the first time that we actually gave color combinations names.
Yeah, and that seems to be the case, and people refer to it by those names nowadays, and that's the thing. Can you name all 5 of the original?
Oh, I would say I definitely cannot name the Khans ones, but I probably could name the Ravnica ones. Would be, I guess. The originals. I'm not sure. We would have the Boros, the Selesnya, and the Dimir, and what the heck is the green-black ones?
Golgari.
The Golgari, and maybe, what am I missing? Let's see, blue-white, the Azorius, maybe.
Azorius, yeah.
Yeah, can't remember. I'm sure there's more that I'm playing. Oh, the Gruul, I'm missing some of those, the green-reds.
Back into the black-green, the Gruul.
Yeah, gosh, the black-red was the Rakdos.
Rakdos, the black-red.
Yeah, I can't remember. There's like 10 of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few, actually. Yeah. I could never get down the new ones, the tricolor ones.
I keep forgetting them.
Those were a little more...
I think it's funny because, when you play it with the younger players, they rattle all that crap off, and I'm just like, damn, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't remember which colors those are.
Yeah.
So it is funny. So it's like there's a little bit of an aged... I guess discrepancy among the knowledge pool there, the younger players versus the older ones. But
the Orzhov, that was
the black white. That's right. Yeah. You know what else I think is funny is we'll have to take a wait and see approach, but I know Richard Garfield was associated with the original Ravnica and also the Return to Ravnica. He was he helped to set design those sets.
Oh, wow.
As well as more recently the Dominaria sets. Yep. But
I remember reading that, yeah.
To my knowledge, he has nothing to do with Return to Ravnica, or so we'll see if set design suffers due to his lack of presence. So
yeah, it'd be interesting. What's his influence on it, really?
It's funny how like those sets were so well received. It seems like he's a creative force even to this day, you know. And it's kind of.
He's had some of his own other games released.
Oh gosh, yeah. More in the board game arena.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of his. Well, not a bunch, but I have several of his games on my game shelf. So I'm sure you probably do too.
I do. Yeah, I have one or two there, definitely.
Yeah.
So, what's your impression of Guilds of Ravnica?
You know, I have not had the pleasure to play yet. I know you have. I know you were out at pre-release, but you know, I always like multicolor sets, and I actually prefer 2 colors over 3 colors. I'm sort of a 2-color kind of guy.
Sure.
But so it's a little bit too early for me to tell. I looked over, you know, see all the cards that were coming out. Nothing really jumped out at me as in my mind like must-have cards. Mm-hmm. You know, there is the card that everybody's talking about, the new black-green one that you know is
Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah,
excellent card.
See play in a lot of formats. It's really hard to beat that. Other than that, I didn't see anything that was in my mind very stand out. You know, where I thought to myself, I want to build around that card. And a lot of times I do have that sense, I want to build around this card. Yeah. But I don't know if maybe I just haven't seen or experienced them enough. I'm not sure. What was your take after your experience with
I guess kind of along those lines, too. You know, there wasn't any big bombs in this set. You know, usually a set usually has like one chase rare that everybody's really after, and it's worth a lot of money. But, you know, this set doesn't really have that. Like, for example, in Dominaria, it was Teferi, who was about almost $50 now. This one, you know, the highest we're talking is about 20, 25 maybe. Yeah. So really, there isn't like one major bomb in this set that you really are looking for.
You know, I will say that I do like the fact that the most sought after card in the set is rare and not mythic rare. You know, because I'm getting real tired of boxes and their values being tied to the mythic pulls instead of the rare pulls. So, you know, that just gets old. So.
It does. Yeah. In this case, Assassin's Trophy is only a rare, and it's well, at this moment, it is the most valuable card in the set at $25. So
I like to see that. I like to see, you know, that a non-mythic card is the best card in the set. Mm-hmm. You know, I wish they would do that more. You know, and over the years they've changed their thought on what the mythics are supposed to do. You know, I don't know if you remember, like years ago, Mark Rosewater had mentioned that mythics were, you know, their place was to be the bomb, you know, be the card that you had to play around in a draft or things of that nature. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he sort of changed his tune over the years, where now the mythic rares are about scarcity and value. So he's really sort of changed their essentially, or at least what he's described as is dramatically different than his original sort of thought on what a mythic should be. And I almost dislike the mythic rarity to this day, because I think it makes the values harder to assess in these sets and these boxes.
So you think it's they're more just like collector items than actual bomb cards?
Well, you know, originally they would say, you know, when you come across a mythic and you're drafting, that should be, you know, a clear sign that card's great, you know. Mm-hmm. But now, you know, in more recent sets, like I can't remember the, you know, and now I can't remember the exact specific card referenced, but when people ask, like, you know, well, this card is not a bomb, nor is it very useful, you know, why is it, you know, a mythic rare card? And his answer wasn't that it was a valuable card to play with, but that scarcity was what determined its value. So it sort of changed from being something where, you know, it would impact gameplay, you know, to it's going to impact your wallet more so. So it's kind of a shame.
We've definitely seen mythic rares that are terrible. Like that, and the fact that you would not play with that card because it is not a good card.
You know, and that's what's unfortunate. You know, mythic rares almost should be, you know, well, I almost like the original thought or intent for them better. Like, if you see a mythic, it's probably going to be a bomb creature that's going to really change the limited, you know, versus something that's just valuable, you know. Although sometimes they're neither powerful nor valuable, So, although they often are, but I don't want to get too much off on a tangent about that.
Yeah.
But that's probably a talk for another day of why I dislike Mythics and Planeswalkers for that matter.
Yeah.
But, I guess again, probably another day.
Yeah. I guess speaking too of Guilds of Ravnica and the cards in that, I mean, we have no basic lands in Guilds of Ravnica. I believe every pack contains a guild gate instead of the basic land.
Yeah, I think that's great. I like that.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits with the theme.
Yep. Plus, it makes the drafting better, I think. I'm all a fan for better drafting. Anything.
Yeah.
I feel it's one of the best ways to play.
One of the other interesting things with this set, too, was, and it'll be a bigger discussion, but for another time, but about the buy a box promo. So this time we had the Impervious Great Worm as the buy a box promo, who's currently selling for about $19 is his estimated value. But he's a 16/16 Convoke Indestructible green creature for 10 mana to cast. 7 colorless, 3 green.
Does he trample?
He does not trample.
Okay. Well,
so apparently this is the biggest black bordered creature ever printed.
Huh, 16/16, huh? Yeah. Well, I guess I guess Emrakul is a 15/15, right? So, yeah. But how about that? The Convoke makes it doable.
The Convoke makes it doable. Yeah. I know when I see this card out, the first thing I think of is fling. I'm like, I would just fling this card and that would be it.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I mean, I like it. I think it's a cool creature. I like big creatures. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of the big stompy.
But but I guess there's also the thing too. How big is too big? Are we going to see a 2020 creature at some point?
Yeah, probably.
Or, I guess we already have.
Like
really.
Merit Lodge or whatever. Was it Merit Lodge? So I guess that would be a black border, although that was a land that would produce a token.
Land. But I mean a straight out,
just a creature
card type creature, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
The power levels keep going.
I would say they've done a pretty good job of maintaining power creep. They scale it back. The power creeps up and they scale it back. It powers up, they scale it back. I think they do a relatively good job of maintaining power creep, better so than many other card games. So I think one thing. It's funny because Wizards does so many things wrong. That seems to be one of the things they do right.
Sure.
They seem to keep power levels relatively in check. So, and so I must commend them for that because the game does stay interesting for that reason. Because and it keeps the value of older cards high enough because there's not always going to be something more powerful printed. So I actually think they do a relatively good job on maintaining power creep.
I'd say, I don't know, mixed. I feel every set gets a little more powerful in different ways. If anything, just for cheaper costs for the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'd say I partially agree with that. I think, going way back to, for example, a Sarah Angel used to be 4/4 flying vigilance for 5 mana. And now we have Baneslayer Angel, or
exactly. I remember
more recently Lyra Dawnbringer.
Yeah, when that Baneslayer Angel came up, I mean that was a $50 card when it first came out.
It was pretty up there.
Because it was amazing. It was an amazing card that did everything.
Yeah, but look at it took 20 years, so it took a while to creep to that level, and it's ratcheted back since then. That was arguably among the most powerful time of Magic, where the decks were the most powerful. They were, that was the Cawblade time. I don't know if you remember that, but I did actually play a little bit of Standard at that time, and it was brutal. It was the freaking Jace the Mind Sculptor was Standard legal. Mm-hmm. Those swords, swords of light and darkness and all that would be going on those stupid birds that would call their brothers. I can't remember that stupid.
But, you talking about the Glinthawks?
No, gosh, it was oh boy, I can't remember the name of it was a 1/1 flying bird for 2 mana, 1 white and a colorless, and when you cast it, you could dig another one out and put it into your hand.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, The Squadron Hawk, there it is. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep. And so that that was probably the peak of power. And around that, I want to say right prior to that was when the Baneslayer came out, and it's actually ratcheted back since then. It's actually the games are like I don't know, the cards have eased down. So I think
to some degree. I think it's mixed, like you said. I mean, well, then we got the Eldrazi, even the recent Eldrazi that are like 15-15 and Emrakul and Ulamog, and those are, very powerful cards. And those were mainstays of a lot of the competitive decks for quite a bit. Yeah,
until they had to ban, I want to say, Emrakul, which was kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame, like, thematically, when they ended up banning their big baddie. It was like a multi-set story arc coming to a head, and they're like, oh, we have to ban the big enemy that we've been foreshadowing for like two blocks.
Yep.
That was a real shame. I was like, they couldn't do it.
I think a lot of those decks too, it was just get those big creatures out as fast as possible and win.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Was how it was. So
exactly.
But speaking of we got the different products. We just touched on a little bit on the buy a box promo. I want to touch a little bit more about the buying a box, and we'll talk more about the finance of that. But just to get to some of the other products first, because I think they're a little quicker to discuss. So we've got as always with a release, there's all the associated product that comes out with it. So we've got Guilds of Ravnica booster packs, your standard booster pack of in this case Guilds of Ravnica, which is 14 cards, token, and a guild gate.
Yeah,
I guess the number right.
Yeah, sounds right. Yep.
Then you've got this seems like a new one to me. I guess the Guilds of Ravnica bundle. I haven't heard of this type of set before. Where each bundle contains 10 Guilds of Ravnica booster packs to add to your collection.
This is the fat pack. This
basically
is
the fat pack.
Yeah, I think for social justice reasons they've changed the naming. So they added one booster pack and they no longer call it fat. So now it's called a bundle.
A bundle, yeah. Because I was going to say, it seems like more boosters in this than previously.
Yeah, one more booster.
Okay. Yeah. So you get the little pack, which is nice.
They increased the MSRP $5 too.
Oh, really? Oh, so you do pay
you're paying for that pack.
For that pack. Okay. Well, that figures.
I do also see that they're bringing these theme boosters back too. Did you see that? Where they're Guilds of Ravnica theme boosters, and they're 35 card booster packs.
Okay.
And they are guild specific, so you can buy a Boros guild theme pack or a Dimir or a Simic or whatever. And there are 35 cards in this. They're guaranteed to have a rare, maybe more than one, a rare or a mythic, and maybe more than one. But they're supposed to be theme oriented. The curious thing about these, I honestly like this idea. I like this idea from a player standpoint. It's sort of like if you're sitting here thinking, "Wow, I really like the Simic stuff, but I hate this Boros crap." If that's your mindset, you're like, "Well, I'm just going to buy all the stuff that I want," and I really like that. That level of selection, and I think I don't really have a problem with the product per se. They did this back in Dominaria as well, and they did it with colors. So you could get like a white booster pack.
I think that's great. I think it's great for a player who wants to build up a certain deck, and they just want those colors. I mean, because if you buy a pack now, typically you'd get a pack and it would be all different colors, and a lot of that pack would be.
Yeah, you may buy 10 packs and get nothing you want.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm a little bit. I like the product. I like the idea. I hate the way it was executed last time. So I hope they do it differently this time. Last time when they did this, these products were only released through mass market retailers. Okay. They were only available in Walmarts and Targets and Mayors, and which is like a Canadian grocery store. So they only were available in giant box stores. They were not available in your game store. They were not available in your LGS.
Wow.
So it was like again, just another really hard slap in the face to the local game stores. They're like, oh, guess what? This new product that caters to casual players, people that want to have a specific color. Guess what, LGS? It's not for you. This is for Walmart to sell. And, so I hate that, and I hope that is not the case moving forward with this product. Time will tell. I've never actually laid hands on a colored pack.
I've never seen one of these in the stores yet either, and nor have I bought one. So
I've never actually laid my hands on one. So we'll see.
Do we know what the retail cost is on these guys?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure. I want to say that I want to say it was $8. I want to say $7.99.
Okay, that sounds about right because we're talking 35 cards, almost. More than double.
Yeah, it's like three boosters, but I think you're only getting one rare, I believe. One, maybe two.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure about that, so don't hold me to it. But I have the suspicion that it's $7.99.
Okay. But interesting.
Yeah. Again, I like the idea. I like it conceptually. I just hated the way it was executed.
Yeah.
So I felt that was very unfortunate.
And I guess the last big part of this, the last product to talk about is the Planeswalker decks. So there's going to be some new Planeswalker decks coming out. I think those were November 2nd, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
They call them Guilds of Ravnica Guild Kits.
Yeah, although I don't know if these are the Planeswalker ones. I think they're slightly different. The Guild Kits or the Guild
Kits different than the Planeswalker?
I think so. The Planeswalkers always are like the new player products that usually have a Planeswalker in them.
Okay.
The Guild Kits are just guild-specific decks that are not standard legal.
Okay.
And I want to say they're like $20 or something.
Okay. So I guess two. It's like I see Ral and Braska. I guess then it's really two different
products.
Two different sets of products: a guild kit and a Planeswalker deck.
That's correct.
So we have two other deck types coming out.
Yeah.
And it sounds from what I've seen, it looks like what you really want to focus on is the Guilds of Ravnica Guild Kit, which is coming out November 2nd. So this is MSRP of $20. You get 60 cards, one spin down counter, a pin, and a sticker.
Because everyone needs a sticker.
Yeah, we got to throw in that sticker. It's going to make a difference. Because I think the original ones gave you a sticker too.
Oh, God, I don't
during
know.
During the pre-release. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I
had a little Boros sticker.
I joke about the sticker. I prefer a sticker than a pin. So, I
guess that could go either way. I don't know what I probably would really do with either, but
at least I can slap a sticker on a box or something that might hold Magic cards, but I'm not going to do diddly with a pin.
Yeah, the pin, probably not a whole lot.
It's funny though.
But looking at these decks, I mean, obviously they are pre-constructed decks of the different guilds. Looking at these from a financial perspective, really the only deck that stands out to me anyway is
one and only. The
one you should buy is the Silencia.
If you can get it at MSRP.
If you get an MSRP, which means go to Target or Walmart or a big box store, and I guess maybe even Amazon too, huh?
Yep.
And buy it for $20 because the one money card in there for first time reprinted, I believe, is Privileged Position, the white-green enchantment, which is worth approximately $26. So you're automatically coming out ahead just on that one card alone.
Just the one card, yep. And I think other than that, there's not a tremendous... It's funny because there's like two other cards in the entire deck worth more than $1.
I know, it's really kind of pathetic.
They know exactly what they're doing. That'll rock the price of Privileged Position probably to the $12 mark with the release of this pre-constructed product. So they'll probably ratchet that right down to $12. And then you got I think Tristani's in there, and he's reasonably valuable, but I want to say he's like a $3 to $5 card.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's kind of sad that the rest of the decks looks, so much lower in value in comparison, and honestly doesn't look that great to me anyway. But maybe it plays better than it looks there.
Yeah, it's possible. But you're right. From a financial standpoint, you got to go with the Selesnya one. It's the only one that you want to touch with a 10-foot pole. And again, it's just I think another product for them to pull that cash register lever on you.
Yeah. And from a player standpoint too. I mean, Privilege of Magicians is a great card. Green-white decks. It's awesome. It's an awesome card. It hasn't been seen in a long time. Something definitely for collecting or definitely for playing with. I mean, fits perfectly into that.
I think that that's played in probably every deck that has its colors where it's legal. If you're playing kitchen table where most people play, that card sees play. So
exactly, it's a great card.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only other thing, just to circle back to the box and buying a box and what to do about buying a box. And I know we talked about this earlier in the week that really the best time to buy a box is you want to get the box prior to the release and you want to sell it immediately.
Yeah, I think that's always the way to go when stuff is hyped up to the max and the demand is high and the supply is low. And you had a pretty good experience with that recently.
I did. I lucked out on this, and I did something I never do, and I ended up buying a box. And this was because my local game store was having a little promotion, and it was buy a box and you get free entry into one pre-release event. And I said, oh wow, that sounds great. And in retrospect, I should have inquired more about the details and the cost, because minus the cost of the pre-release event, which was about $25. The total I paid for that box was $125. So you take out $25 for what it would have cost me to participate in the event. That leaves you with about a $100 box.
Okay.
So it did come with the buy a box promo, which was great.
Good. So it was legit there.
Good. So that was fine. So then I got stuck with the box, and I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do with this box? I guess I'm going to try to sell all the profitable parts of the box and see what I get. Yeah. And honestly, I was able to successfully do that. I had, just to give you a rundown of some of the cards in that were of value in that box. And I only concentrate on things over $2. Anything under $2 was just not worth the time.
Yeah, so what were your top, say, 4 hits in that box?
The top 4. So I did get the money card, the Assassin's Trophy. So I was very lucky in that. That's $25 right there. The next highest was Aurelia, which is about $12.
Good.
And the next few were all very similar. I had a lot of kind of things in the $6 to $8 range. So I had several of the dual lands. So I had the red-white land, I had the blue-red land, and the, what's the other one?
So you got 3 of them.
I got 3 of those lands, and those range from about $6 to $8. So,
yeah.
I made sure to get rid of all those as well. So, in the end, I lucked out when I actually did the math. The estimated value came over $100. And I'll provide, going forward in the future, a complete breakdown of what cards of value were in there, what they were sold for, and what my actual net profit was on that, so you can see the actual breakdown. Like I said, I certainly broke even on it, but I didn't make, I didn't make a huge profit. It wasn't, like a $50 profit or something like that.
Yeah.
It was certainly less than that.
And, I think, the advantage to that is, you do get to keep the bulk. You end up keeping all the rest of the cards, which is kind of nice. So you ended up basically going through some effort and labor. Sure. But you sold the cards of value, and you keep the rest, which is, it's kind of nice. The hobby fed itself right there.
Exactly.
One thing I think, word of caution, and this is for our listeners to sort of take home, is that Guilds of Ravnica is going to follow the exact same release trajectory as the other two most recent sets, the Dominaria and the Core 19, which will be a trickle, and initially a small trickle into local game stores and mass markets, with then a massive floodgate opening a month or two after release. So what you'll see is initially tight supply. So be careful, be reluctant to pay the prices for the cards upon release of the set. They will be inflated because the demand will be higher than the supply. And then once they back off the brakes and allow that to be ordered in massive quantities, you'll see the prices drop dramatically in the exact same fashion they did with Dominaria and Core 19. So just be careful of that, because at first it'll feel like, wow, this Assassin's the heck is, I can't remember the name of that card.
Assassin's Trophy.
The Assassin's Trophy. It's going up in price, not down. But it just like everything, it will go down, and you're not going to want to pay the initial price if you can wait. If you need it for some deck, that may be a different story altogether. But if you're trying to buy the cards and trying to get a reasonable deal, do not buy them in the first month or so. Wait until they're released en masse, and then go ahead and start making your purchases.
So when do you think is a good time to start purchasing those?
You can almost tell it, because what ends up happening is the prices start to drop dramatically. For example, when you had Dominaria, I think you popped a pretty expensive card. Didn't you get like Karn or Teferi?
You get a Karn, yep.
So when you first opened him, was that at release day? Was that a game day thing?
It was right near that.
Okay. So you got him like approximately at release time, and then you probably dumped him shortly thereafter.
I dumped him quite quickly after that, and I sold him for about 45, I believe.
Good. So that's pretty much the way to go. And then I want to see 4 to 6 weeks after that, he was down to like 22.
Yes, he dropped significantly.
Yeah, and you can tell the moment that it happens, because you'll see a pretty dramatic decline in pricing when all of a sudden the supply hits the chain. So, and I think it's like, I want to say it was like a month. After a month, the restrictions on the LGS's ability to buy boxes was lifted, and instead of being able to only buy 6 boxes, all of a sudden they were able to order as many as they wanted to. And so you can almost tell, because the expensive cards in the set dropped like a stone. So I think it's like 6 weeks after. You know what? I'll double check that, and I'll talk next week.
Yeah.
But so just a heads up on that. Don't buy early.
Exactly.
Just be patient. Bide your time. The prices will not hold. So
everything will drop, and I think one other point to stress as well is that the time to sell is instantly, as far as these if you get it in a pre-release or right at release time, it's only going to drop. It's only going to go down.
Absolutely.
So get rid of it as soon as possible. And also keep in mind, and this is for all of your investments and spending, getting the card is great, but it's not worth anything until you actually sell it. So just sitting at home with it, or thinking about what to do with it, or whatnot, it's not doing anything for you. It's until you actually sell it and make actual money in your pocket that turns into value.
Yeah, you got to lock in those gains in order to keep.
Which means sell it as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
So,
good deal. On a side note, I tend to sell more sealed product lately than single cards, and I don't know if any of our listeners have any sense for why this is happening, but had a lot of interest in the Eternal Masters boxes recently. I've had some of those listed for sale for, I want to say, 6 to 8 weeks with nary a peep, and then in the last 3 or 4 days, I've had a lot of interest in offers, and actually sold the box today, and which was weird because it had been so quiet, and that means when I see that, no activity, and then all of a sudden lots of interest, something changed. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it seems like maybe there's some sort of speculation about some sort of card.
Yeah, something happened.
Maybe that impacts this set. I don't know.
Yeah, curious.
Yeah, that seems weird.
Yeah, but I think it might be about time for us to start moving on to our next segment.
I agree. Yeah. So we talked about some news. So as always, we have our picks for this week of different cards that you should invest in.
That's right. Did you want to go ahead and start with one of yours?
Sure. So for this week, last week I talked a little bit about the rotation. So we had four sets rotating out: Kaladesh, Ether Revolt, Amonkhet, and Hour of Devastation. And this is a good time to pick up some of the cards from there to add to your collection because they're kind of lower prices. So one card that I would recommend is, I'll probably butcher the pronunciation here, but Saheeli Rai.
Yeah.
The Planeswalker. This card is still a little pricey for my taste at the moment, at close to $5, about $4.74. But it's a Planeswalker, which right there makes it of some value. It's a unique card. It has seen.
It's a 3-mana Planeswalker.
3-mana Planeswalker, which does matter. There were some decks that do use that. It has some unique abilities that we haven't seen in other Planeswalkers. About creating a token that's a copy of an artifact, and token gains haste. Very, very powerful with artifact decks. And there was I can't remember what it was now. There was a tournament deck that
an infinite cat combo.
Yeah,
it actually led to the banning of the because it was actually in standard combination. It was like a white cat token that basically gave it an infinite combo. They had to ban the cat part, I think.
Yeah. So it was a tournament deck for a time. There's a combo with that. So unique card. I think I could definitely see this card, increasing in value. Like I said, Planeswalker, unique abilities. Pretty good. I think it's worth picking up a couple of these and sitting on that. I would definitely see this going up.
Yeah. What do you think your end result price point would be on that?
It's going for like I said, close to $5 now. I'd like to see it drop a little bit more before purchasing. Maybe closer to 4-ish, low 4, high 3s, and
Gotcha.
Then I would hope that it would definitely go up in the future. I would sell definitely. Probably 6 or up. I'd probably drop it. But I don't see any huge spikes in this one for a little while. Probably until we head back to return to Kaladesh.
Yeah, that's right. I hear you.
So what's your first pick here, Dev?
Well, what I've got here is a card that, unfortunately, actually, since I started doing a little bit of my research as to what I wanted to look at next, has actually crept up in price a little bit.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's I'm a little bit late to the party, but not too late. It's a card that was originally printed in Rise of the Eldrazi. And it's a great card.
Ancient Stirrings?
No, not the Ancient Stirrings.
I tried.
Yeah, that's a card that's always surprised me that its value is so high. It's in those Tron decks. That's why it's so used, and it's a 4/0. But it's actually a card that's super annoying when you've got it on the battlefield against you. It's the Core Spirit Dancer. And, Core Spirit Dancer gets +2/+2 every time like an aura is attached to it, and you draw a card. And so it was originally like a Rise of the Eldrazi, and then I want to say it came out like at Plane Chase, and recently reprinted in Battle Bond. So that's why the price dropped. And prior to the Battle Bond release, this card was about $5, and relatively recently it was as low as $1. It was like $1.
Wow.
So it's crept up a little bit since then. It's now actually. And when I say recently, like this week, so I saw them for like $1.25, and I do see one that's they're like $1.50, $1.59.
Yeah. So
it's crept up a little bit. This card is always used as a 4/of in the decks that it is used, and it's very, very useful. And, I would get out of this card once it starts to eclipse the 350 mark. So this would be a card I'd pick up at below 150 and sell above 350.
Okay.
And it will get there as long as they don't reprint it again relatively soon. So if it holds off for a while, it'll creep up. If they don't wait, if they don't reprint it recently, soon, it'll creep to 5 and maybe as high as 7 to 8. That was what it was before its original Plane Chase reprinting or whatever. But so I think it's a great card, and I see
powerful.
It's definitely worth the $1.25, and I'd buy this in play sets, so you can sell them as 4-ups because that's the way to make your money on that. You buy 4 of them for $1.25, so you spend about $5, and then you sell them, for $16, so that's how you do that.
Great card, definitely a good pickup on that one.
That's my number one pick for
number one.
Yeah,
cool. I guess my number 2 pick is going back to things rotating out. This is a popular card for your red decks. You got to look toward the Soulscar Mage, who is from Amonkhet. He is a 1 red mana. He's a 1/2 prowess. Starts you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls. Put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. He's been he was kind of dropping. Now he's doing a little bit of a creeping up at the moment. He's still under $2 though, so that's certainly a reasonable price. He is in a number of decks lately, Rakdos and some of these red deck wins kind of decks. You're talking a 1/2 creature with prowess, pretty good, and a little unusual ability with the -1/-1 counters. It kind of gets around a couple things. This card just feels to me like a lot of those other kind of red wizard cards, so to speak. Last week you talked about the Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Yeah.
There's a couple other ones that are just like that. What's the the other one where you can discard cards out of your graveyard to do damage?
Oh yeah,
another red wizard.
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly. Yeah, he's a 1 mana. He's like a 1/2. You pay a mana to do a shock by removing cards from your graveyard. Yeah.
This guy feels like he's kind of in that club where, he's got those kind of abilities that he's small enough and he can sneak in for some extra damage or has a unique ability, and that's just going to make him popular, especially in red decks that are just trying to be fast and burn and do as much damage as fast as possible. He seems to fit into that category.
Yeah. Yep.
And with under $2, that's a pretty good deal, I think. I could see him. I'd try to pick him up for, like $1.25 or something. Seems fair for him, or even closer to $1 if possible. And then sell him for, get 4 of him, of course, and then, sell him. I can see him easily just slowly creeping up over time. Anywhere to. I could see him landing maybe on a $4 card, maybe even a little more over time. So I think he's a safe bet for red decks in the future.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad one. Yeah, good deal. I think.
What's your second pick?
So okay, for my second pick, I've got a kind of a classic card that saw its reprint hammering in. 2 master sets. So this card came out originally in Apocalypse. It really, the price just did nothing but go up. It hadn't seen a reprint for essentially a very long time until until Eternal Masters came out, and then more recently Masters 25. It's a great card that sees play again anywhere where it's legal, and currently it's seen in like a white, blue, black deck, and that card is Vindicate.
Oh, great card.
Yeah, Vindicate's 3 mana instant, or no, 3 mana sorcery, but it's destroy a target permanent. And
sounds a lot like Assassin's Trophy to me.
It does. It does. It's very, very similar. No drawback, but it costs one more. Not at instant speed. That's, I would say, its drawback. That's its weakness. However, this card is going for $2, $2.25. So it's again, depending on the speed of reprints. So it's had two, reprints relatively recently, but the reprints were in master sets, so I still feel that does limit some of the supply. I feel that the perception is that there's tons of supply out there, but it's not as high as with a mass market release. And but boy, at $2.25 though, I don't think you can go wrong. To give you a sense for perspective, prior to the Masters 25 release, so this would have been after the Eternal Masters release, it had dropped down to $6. So prior to that, it was probably, I want to say, $12 to $18.
Wow.
And the Eternals Masters dropped it, hammered it down to the $6 range. And now we're looking at between 2 and 3. At $2.25, this is definitely a buy. And I would sell once it starts creeping up. Like if it got to 6, boom, I'd sell.
Oh yeah, drop that.
So, yeah, that's exactly right. So that's my second pick of the day.
Nice.
So I don't know. Do you have an extra pick or
I have
sort of a bonus pick?
One bonus pick for today. I know we're getting low on time here. This is a total long shot pick. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but I suspect it's going to head up a little bit. Even trends show that it's slowly just minusculely creeping. Mm-hmm. And this fits on. I did this on purpose because an expectation of Guilds of Ravnica. So we'll see where this goes. But if you want a long shot pick, go for and try out purchasing some Maze's End. So this was
alternate win.
This was a card from Dragon's Maze in our last trip to Ravnica, and it was originally a promo card, and it's an alternate win land card. So this revolves around those guild gates, where if you have 10 or more gates with different names in the game, you win the game. Now, admittedly, it's something very hard to pull off, but this is something that definitely appeals to the casual player, and it's something kind of fun to try to get an alternative win.
Yeah, I think alternate win cards always appeal to the casual. It's always fun to get a new way to win. It's one of those times where you don't feel bad when you lose.
Exactly. It's certainly more of a challenge to do, and now we've got the guilds are all back. We've got more guild gates. I think the guild gates are all actually the same guild gates.
I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if in the next set we see more guild related cards that maybe do some more
rekindles the interest. Yeah.
Even right now there's more cards that have pretty positive abilities if you have gates in play. So I could definitely see more of that, which makes playing the Maze's End and trying to do that even easier. So nice. I could see we could get more
interest there.
Yeah, more playability of this card. And like I said, you could pick up the promos of it pretty cheap because they were pretty widely distributed. But if you want to go for a little bit more, get the original, the non-promo version. That's going for about $1 now. So, you can't go too wrong with that. So I grabbed a couple of those, and we'll see where it goes. I'm hoping that,
nice.
We're going to see some more cards, and this guy's going to slowly creep up.
Yeah.
Like $3.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable. I think sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for the right card to make another older card pop up.
Exactly.
I have a little bit of a cheat, and I know sometimes our stretch picks are either cards that are ultra cheap or things of that nature, and I can't remember if I mentioned this before, but I'm going to re-mention it again because it's prescient and timely.
Sure.
It's actually not a single card, but it's actually
the split card.
No, I hate the split card. I hate them, but the splits and the flips I hate, But no, it's actually the booster box of Iconic Masters. And I think I've mentioned this prior, I want to say during episode 2. Yeah. I think these booster boxes have reached their capitulation point. So most of my lately, a lot of my buying and selling has been of sealed product booster boxes in particular. And so right now, these booster boxes have been doing nothing but going down until, I want to say, a few weeks ago, when I started to notice they seem to have bounced off the bottom. Okay, so for the sake of argument, I'm sitting on 3 of these, and the most recent ones I bought were at 117. So that's
pretty good.
So 117, I bought 2 boxes at that level. The lowest price that I'm seeing now is 138. And I think we have bounced off the bottom for those booster boxes. So, I think, if you're looking to buy and hold a box for a while, I think that's not a bad one to do because your entry point is low enough that it makes your likely gains more, it makes you more likely to have actual gains. So, I think it's a cheaper entry point than some of the other Masters boxes, and I think it'll go up faster than the Masters 25 because it's the rares in the box that are valuable, not the mythic rares. So the expected value of a box of Iconic Masters is going to climb faster than the expected value of Masters 25 because you're more likely to pull the cards you want.
Okay.
So that's my stretch pick. It's a booster box of Iconic Masters. So it's almost like a re-recommendation because those have hit the bottom. So.
Okay, yeah, it looks like the big money rare is Horizon Canopy at about $6.
It's a very expensive land. I know, but also there's like Ether Vials are in there.
Vials in there.
So the beauty of that is, and I want to say Grove of the Burn Willows. So the beauty again is these cards are rare, not mythic. So when you open a box of these, you could pop a Horizon Canopy and a Grove of the Burn Willows and an Aether Vial, so, not even counting the mythics, so you're likely to open your value. And, so, again, I don't think those boxes will get any cheaper. If you're looking to buy a box that you expect that you want to go up within a year to 2 years, it's not going to be a current standard printed box. It's going to be one of those.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
But I know we don't want to run too long, so I think we're
let's do a quick recap here. So my top picks were the Saheeli, the Soulscar Mage, and Maze of Zen, and Dev's picks were the Core Spirit Dancer, Vindicate, and buy an Iconic Masters box.
That's right. That's the stretch pick. So
stretch picks. Those were our 2 Maze of Zen and Iconic Masters box are your stretch picks of the week.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, good idea to sort of hit a quick summary.
Let's make sure we sum it up at the end.
Yeah, very good. That'll wrap it up for today's episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and may your picks always be profitable.
All right, see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.